Welcome to the Dad Show. Dad Sports Life. Let's go.
Today on the Dadger, we've got a guy who did something not many can say. Competed at Wisconsin in not one, but two sports. From the football field to the track field, Kyle Jefferson built his game on versatility, discipline, and showing up whenever he was needed. Now he's taken the same mindset into his career at Cleanmark, and most importantly, into fatherhood. Kyle, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Adam.
So I like to give listeners a look into athletes that compete at the highest levels, kind of upbringing and kind of what molded them. I know a bit about it from listening to the After Effect podcast, as well as a couple articles. But, for the listeners, can you give a broad overview of what your upbringing was like in Cleveland?
Yeah, grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised, inner city kid. I went to Glenville High School. Um, if you don't know about Glenville High School, think about like Ted Ginn Jr., Dante Whitner, Arvell Reese, who's in the draft, probably is going to be a top 5 draft pick, if not top 2. It's rough. It's a hard place to grow up in, but it molds you to be who we are, right? Everybody says a diamond in the rough. Coach Ginn, who was my high school coach, as well as Tony Overton, um, they found the diamonds, and I consider myself a diamond for coming out of there and trying to make something of myself and being a collegiate athlete at that time. As well as I'm trying to make myself as in the coaching world, as well as being a father. So when you think about Cleveland, like the inner city has that, drugs and some of the violence that goes with it, but that's everywhere. Sometimes it's a little bit more potent where I'm from. And it just helps you see like how can you continue to build that and take that with you and let it mold you into be something greater. Because it's tough, right? Sometimes it's tough to get out of that environment and try something new that you may not be accustomed to.
Now, did you have any siblings?
So I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm actually very
Okay.
blessed that one of my sisters is actually my twin sister. So we grew up together, tightly knit, very close. She wasn't an athlete, but she definitely was my number one fan and cheerleader. She was always there to give me praise as well as give me criticism. She did not miss a beat on either one of those. No, I mean, not. I remember. I'll never forget. I dropped a pass, and literally we're coming out of the locker room after the game, and that's the only thing she talked about is the one pass I dropped. She didn't talk about the other 7 or 8 catches I had. The first we said, "Why'd you drop that?" And I'm just like, "All right, this right now is not the time for you to." She's like, "No, we're gonna talk about this." So she was pretty critical of me, but it was helpful, right? The person close to you, if you can handle their criticism, you can handle anybody's criticism. So I applaud her and thank her for that.
Yeah, where did you fall in that mix there?
Oh, I'm the youngest.
So you said your sister wasn't into sports? Were any of your older siblings into sports?
Not really. My dad was a huge sports guy. He grew up playing basketball and baseball. He actually graduated from Central State University from baseball. Huge baseball guy. Loved baseball. My dad kind of helped me, kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I grew up wanting to be a basketball player, right? Most people grow up wanting to be basketball players. I fell in love with football in the 7th grade. I fell in love with track when I was in the 7th grade, and I had opportunities in middle school to participate in both of those activities and sports and really grow and learn how to mold myself in those games or athletic events.
I was going to say, if you were kind of the only athletic one, it must have been your parents that kind of steered you into that direction when you were a young kid.
I would say my parents and even some of my friends, right? They were all playing different sports. And you get influences like KJ, come out here and do this, or come out here and do that, try this out. And I give credit back to the community, right? The community understand, and when I say community, that could be coaches, mentors, firefighters, police officers, security guards, teachers. They kind of help me, right? Push me in that right direction. Like, you should try this. You could be good at this. So they continue to work on me and push me in that direction. And it helped, right? You don't think about those things when you're younger, right? You think it's someone nagging on you. really trying to get you to do something because they see that you may have some type of spark of talent, but they position it in a way like this could change your life. And I didn't really think about it at that time. I said, life changing, right? They're like, you can do things and put yourself in a position that you can come back 10 or 20 years and talk about, and it'll be a story of your legacy and your history. So, by them pushing me and continue to guide me through that, I think it's super unique because you don't get that all the time. You don't get that push, but I mean, people saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So they continue to push. I mean, my parents helped too, right? They pushed me as well. But having some of like the other outflier influences helped me out really a lot too.
On the Fired Coaches podcast, you bring up multiple times, about things that you did to make your family proud. You talk about that really proud moment in the 4x4 for nationals. Your parents are there in the crowd, so it was a made it even more of a massive moment for your being the first person to graduate other than your father. Were those family values instilled in you by your parents? And is it something that you hope to pass along to your children as they get older?
Yeah, I think my parents had a huge part in that. Um, I also think the community where I came from had a huge part in that. Right. When you think about a legacy is not always did you make it to the NFL or, become a professional track athlete or make it to NBA. A legacy is what you've done to make yourself better from where you came from. And that's what my parents instilled in me. That's what my coach instilled in me. And I can be the first person to tell you one of the coolest things in the world is going to University of Wisconsin and being able to participate in two sports, not just one. It gave me the ability to connect with two different spectrums, right? I could connect on the athletic track side as well as the football side because I did both. And it was a story that my coaches could tell younger people under me, and they could have that conversation like, hey, Kyle or KJ, he did not only do this, he did that and this. So you think about just having our own legacy and having my parents there with me in the 4x4 on my senior year in college was special. But you got to realize, like, literally the following week, I was graduating from college, right? To be the first person in my family, out of my sisters, out of my siblings, to graduate from a university, right, is big, right? That in itself is its own legacy. And I tend to pass that out not only to my boys, but I want to pass it on to everyone that I coach today. Right. I know we're in a different age where college is not for everybody. And I do understand that piece, but I do understand that you do have to have that conversation about you can go to college or you can do this and still be successful. So it's just literally passing it down, right? You're just paying it forward, as the coaches did for me when I was at that age.
You talked a little bit about earlier here, kind of finding that love for football and track in more in the seventh grade range. What age did you get into organized sports? And were your youth sports the same as the sports that you did in high school?
Totally different. Like I said, I
Okay.
grew up playing basketball. Um, Youth sports is totally different now, right? AAU, all this stuff is like is
Yeah.
blown through the charts. You think about, I mean, I'm about to age myself a little bit here. I mean, that's over 20. I mean, right. I mean, that's over 25 years ago, right? So you're
Yeah.
talking quite a bit of time ago. Where when you grew up in Cleveland, like we didn't really have AAU, right? We had the rec, right? The Glenville rec. We had a field where you can go out there and you can play Dino Man, which is you throw the ball backwards, you try to escape everyone from tackling you. And then you had a track that was pretty beat up that we used to run around in a circle. When I say I got really involved in organized sports, it was seventh grade, right? I was at
Yeah.
FDR, FDR, which is one of the public schools in Cleveland for middle schools. And I'll never forget the security guard pulled me to the side and was like, "Hey, you're gonna come over and run some track. You're gonna play some ball, and I'm gonna introduce you to some people that I think you should play some football." And that's kind of how it all started. And when I tell you I was rough around the edges, I was rough. Like, I mean, there was some work that needed to be done. I was rough. Like, listen, I couldn't even catch a football like in seventh, eighth grade. Like I was bad. Like I have no like I caught some, but I would say my catch percentage was definitely below 50%.
Yeah.
And the same thing in track. I remember the first 400 I ever ran in middle school. I ran 310 meters and fell down, right? Because I've never done it before. I thought I was just out there, and then I had people teach me how to do it, right? I'm like, I'm just out here trying to run. They're like, boop. I'm like, yeah, but it was
Yeah.
embarrassing at that time. You get embarrassed, like people were laughing, different things like that. And I'm gonna be honest, that kind of motivated me to want to work harder because then at that point it was like I need to prove to myself that I can do this and I can do this at a high level. And then with right coaching and mentorship, and the family behind me, right? You fast forward to my junior, senior year of high school, there was no one that could, touch me on the track. There was no one that really could touch me on the football field. Not saying that I had a ride by any means, but because of all the work and all the time I put in, my skill set had advanced so quickly. It made me, one of the better athletes in the state of Ohio.
In one of those podcasts, you talk about your transfer from a Catholic school to a public school. And you kind of said when that happened, something switched where you started to get, kind of this anger about you. Was that for self-preservation, do you think? And, switching to a tougher environment, being in public school? And initially, do you think that helped or hurt you more in sports?
It definitely helped me more. We went to, like I said, we went to a private school, a Catholic school, until about sixth grade. And just for financial reasons, like we could no longer, be at the institution, so it moved us out. When you move to a public school from a Catholic school, right, the first thing is like you're the Catholic school kid, right? So people are looking at you in the manner of like you're privileged in a sense, right? And I wasn't, right? I was fortunate, at that time. We got scholarships to go to the Catholic schools, but at that point when we no longer apply for or could get those, right, we were no longer there, and it does harden you up because now you got other people looking at you like you could be soft or you could be someone that they could take advantage of, and no, I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want my sister to be that person either. So we did have to harden up. We had to be tougher because now like the environment is totally different, right? The same kids
Yeah.
that I never knew before, right? I had to get to know, right? Some of us have some of the same stories, but some of our stories are totally different. Someone's situation can be worse than mine, and my situation can be worse than theirs. So you really had to harden up, especially when it came to playing sports, because now you're looking at sports totally different, right? This is a way for us to get away from, drugs, gang violence, some of the things that have put so many of us in bad situations across the country. And then you look at that piece. So it does harden you up, and it's not a bad thing. I will tell you, you still have that in you. Doesn't matter where you go, doesn't matter where you live. Um, and that's part of you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just having you give more awareness to what's around you, making sure that you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your family, ensure that their safety is first, because that's something we learned um, when we went to middle school. And, there was more fights and you were part of those and different things like that. You had to learn how to protect yourself as well, because at any given point, like somebody can try you or, think that um, they can take advantage of you. It's the best way to put it.
You also talk about in that podcast, in initially in high school, your freshman year, you were maybe a little leery or didn't you kind of only you alluded you only wanted to kind of play basketball. Was that due to following Ted Ginn Jr. in track and field and football? I mean, I feel like that's got to be insane pressure following the likes of that guy, right? Like, come
Uh,
on.
I don't know if it was so much of him. He was a great mentor. He's still a
Okay.
great mentor. I think at that point, like I hadn't like football was I was good at football, but I haven't I hadn't made it to the point where I felt like I was gonna be successful in it. I had saw so much success in basketball in middle school, and different things like that. And like, not gonna lie to you, right? When you come from eighth grade to freshman year and you got summer conditioning and you got all these different things, I'm sitting there going, like, I don't want to do this. Right. I just want to go hoop. I want to go to the rec or go somewhere and play basketball.
Right.
Um, and I'll never forget this. Coach Tone, never forget him and Coach Ginn pulled me to the side. and verbatim asked me the question, like, because these are men, right? They are teaching me how to be a man and grow up. They said, hey, we don't want to hear from anybody else. We want to hear from you. We hear things are rumbling. And I just said, hey, I don't want to play football. I want to think, I want to go hoop. And, Coach Ginn and Coach Tone, I'll never forget, they said, do you trust me? I'm 14 years old. Like, I'm like, I was hesitant, right? I'm super hesitant at this point. I'm
Yeah.
super hesitant. They're like,
Right.
do you trust us? Do you trust me? And my dad wasn't around with just us. And I said, yes. They literally said this. They said, 3.5 years from now, will do things that you never thought you could do. If you trust me, if you follow what I'm doing, you follow the direction that I'm giving you, you be a student of the game, you become a leader like we need you to be, you will reach heights and you will help us develop a culture that can continue on for decades. And that's what Glenville
Yeah.
has. At the time, like, that's scary to hear. Um, but at that point, I had to trust him, right? I had to give myself a chance to trust him. And I remember Coach Tone said, hey, he pulled me off to the side after we finished talking as a group. I remember he said, hey, I want you to wear number 3. That's the number he wore in high school. He said, I want you to wear it. And he said, I want you to wear it because when you put this number on, right, you understand that everyone's behind you. You're not by yourself. Your team's behind you. Your friends are behind you. Your family behind you. Your coaches are behind you. It just so happened that number 3 happened just to be my favorite number, just because I was born on June 3rd. Um, you look at it, and everyone can, you can Google people now, see people accolades. They were right. They didn't steer me wrong. They put me in positions to be one of the top receivers in the state my senior year. Gave me the opportunity to run at nationals and become an All-American. By listening to them, I became 2-time track athlete of the year out of Ohio. Um, it goes on, right? So, like, just trust, like, taking the time to actually trust in them put me in a spot that, to be super honest, I wouldn't be in that spot if it wasn't for them and them taking a chance on me, and really pushing me to be more. And they also put good people around me, right? You talk about, Ted Ginn Jr., but there's Detroit Smith had just left and went to O State that you can connect with, right? There's other guys that I ran with like Devin Jones, Ray Fisher, Ray Smalls. You got the Freddie Lennox, with Curtis Smith. We called him Pig. There's so many guys that I had the pleasure of being around, and they were super athletes. And they pushed me, not to push me over, like pick on me, but they were pushing me so that because they knew too what I could be. And that's the special part, going back to Cleveland and being in the inner city and all really having some of the same stories is we know how to push each other to get to where we need to be because they know how important it is for us to get out and try to find something and be a story that can be told 10 years later, 5 years later, even 20 years later. So super kudos to Coach Overton, and Coach Ginn Sr. for definitely giving me that opportunity and taking a risk and really just buying into me and helping me mold me.
Do you think, as a coach now, that the youth predominantly might have a different mindset than you guys had back then on being coached? Because it almost kind of feels like the instant gratification culture makes kids, majority of kids, not want to work as hard or be pushed as hard as, maybe you guys were back, we were back in the day by coaches. They view it more as like being picked on, I guess, when in reality it's like, no, they just see greatness in you, they're trying to pull it out of you.
Right.
I mean,
Um,
do you think there is a shift in mindset there over the years, or not if you have or not if you have the right
I,
athletes?
I'm gonna say this. coaching is how you portray yourself as a coach, right? It's all about how you set that expectation as a coach. All it means coaching is totally different, but the foundation is still the same, right? And that's the part
Sure.
where I'm not a firm believer in just giving out participations, right? I see that we're trying to build more athletes up and give them that more motivation. So I understand that piece, but it's still about the foundation of how you want to coach. I coach like I was coaching high school, right? I don't yell and scream. Some of those things like, dropping F bombs and all those different things like that. But when you're talking about what made me successful and what success looks like, I've seen it. I've had coaching. I want that to be a replica. And that's having the kids buy into you. Just like you got to buy into the kids, right? Just like I told you, the trust piece. Every year, doesn't matter if I'm in football or I'm in track, I always tell the kids flat out, this is who I am as a person. I need you to trust in me. It's not going to be easy, right? We're going to work. We're going to grind. There's going to be tough days. There's going to be easier days, whatever it is. But if you believe in me over the course of time, you will improve and the outcome may be more than what you thought it could be. So I think coaching, everyone's different, right? I was coaching the manner where, coaches was on me, right? I'm talking about,
Yeah.
ooh, boy, I got a couple times where, hey, look, you get hey, you pull up at football practice and Coach Ginn and Coach Tone is hot. I'm talking about they are lighting us up, lighting me up. Especially when you become an upperclassman, you getting lit up even faster. Like you're like short
Yeah.
leaves. I mean, listen, every year, I'll tell you this, every year in high school, Coach Ginn kicked us out of practice at least once. At least once. And maybe twice. Listen, I will for my freshman. It's crazy. My freshman year, I'll never get. Coach Gann rolls up. We supposed to be warming up. We ain't warmed up. Now remember, his son is on the team. We had one bad rep, kicked all of us out. Everybody go home. I'm like, oh, coach, like, oh, he's like, find a ride home. I'm like, all right, cool. But then it's weird because then the next year, like my sophomore year, we get kicked out of practice. Then my junior, now I'm an upper class. My junior and senior year, we didn't got kicked out of practice like once or twice. And then you were sitting there going like, man, why we keep getting kicked out of practice? But for him, it was like a reset. It was like, hey, I'm not going to tolerate nothing but the best. And if you're not going to give that to me, we're not going to be here. Like literally was like never one, like the girls are working out. He literally like get off. We sitting in the corner on the other side of the bleachers. And listen, that man walked over there swiftly and had a few choice words. And I was like, you know what? Before you even finish this sentence, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here because I don't even feel like listening to that right now. But that was his expectation. That was Tone expectation. And when you look at it today, be like, oh, if a coach kicks out of practice, the kid's like, oh, man, that's cool. We get to go home. In reality, you get kicked out of practice, that means you lost a day to get better. And that was his point that he was trying to make. He's like, every day is important. You can't repeat this day over again. I can't get April 1st back. When April 1st passed 2026, you go to April 2nd. You will never get that day back again. And that's what he was trying to teach us is like, you can go out here and ruin this opportunity, what you're building, or you can really lock in and make something great.
If we could shift to track for a second, you're in a leadership role now, but maybe it didn't, but I think that shift for you maybe happened in track and field, shifting that mindset based on some of the interviews I've listened to. Do you think that, you're a 3-time captain in track and field, right? You mentioned all the accolades that you have in track and field. Do you think that leadership came naturally to you, or was it like stepping into a leadership role early on in your high school career?
Man, it's a little bit of both. I had great leadership before me, right? I remember, you know, the year before I got to high school, Glenville had won their first state title in quite some time. I walk into high school. You got Ted, you got Dante Cloud, you got some of these guys that are upperclassmen or seniors or great leaders. And then all of them graduated. So then I'm supposed to replace a Ted Ginn Jr., which he's not replaceable. Let's just state that right now. I still tell Ginn today, I was like, yeah, that sounded good, coach, but your son is not replaceable. But what he was teaching me and they were teaching me, I've been just being for real. I'm like, he ain't replace. This man ran 13.3
Yeah.
over hurdles. Like he was absolutely like a flyer.
Right.
Like I'm like, coach, what are you talking about? But what happened was track is a sport where like you mentally have to be tough. Um, and they mentally made me tougher through track and like telling me like you need to win every day in practice. You can't be last. You must be first. This is gonna catapult you to where you've been. Doesn't matter you're a sophomore or not. You got to find a way to lead as an underclassman because when you become a junior, you're gonna have to lead. Once again, smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I did as best as I could. I led, but then my junior year, something happened. One of the coaches got sick, and no bullshit. Like I had to become a, a player's coach. Like I knew all the workouts. I knew what we needed to be done. Like we won. We won two state championships in a row, right? Indoor and outdoors. At this point, like they needed me to lead, and it made me grow up, and it was scary because I didn't know how to lead guys that were older than me. I was still trying to learn the ropes and get it. But once you go back to the thing of like confidence, and like that nasty mentality of not wanting to lose and not letting anybody down, like you find yourself figuring out how to lead on not only in the classroom but on the track as well as helping the coaches, get things in order. And I think that's the beautiful part is when you see kids that have that potential like I had, right? You try to bring it more out of them. You try to make sure they understand like you can do this, um, because you need a leader, right? There's no championship team that's ever been won without a leader. I don't care who you are. I don't care what sport you're in. If it's a team sport and it needs a team atmosphere, there are leaders that help lead that. That's why you get national champions. But there's people out there leading, um, on the court, on the field, or on the track.
When you started getting recruited, was that for football and track, or just one or the other, or what did that process look like, I guess?
Scary. Uh,
Yeah.
I started getting recruited for football first. Um,
Okay.
right? Like anything, like when coaches are coming to look at the guys before you, when you're a freshman or sophomore, right? Everyone's like the coaching pool is like they may be coming to see, you know, Ray Smalls or Ted Ginn or whoever, but they're also looking like who else is behind them, like who else is in the mix. Um, I never forget. Um, Wisconsin came to visit, right? I ended up going to Wisconsin. The receiver coach at the time, right? He was out looking at one of my other brothers that was getting recruited that had committed there. And he looked at me and he goes, "I'll be back." I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll be back." And I just started to catapult, me getting more opportunities. Coach Ginn, and Coach Tone and them did a bus tour. We're like going into my junior year, like we were we were on a charter bus. We were driving to Wisconsin, West Virginia, Illinois, Ohio State. We went to Michigan State. We went to Bowling Green. Right, we were on the bus for like 3 weeks, staying in
Okay.
hotels, giving us opportunity to showcase our talent. And then we got back, right? Once we got back, like the offers just started flowing, right? You got film and stuff like that. They see the potential of who you are and what you can be. And then you just see the offers flowing. And then track, it was interesting. Once you start getting recruited for football, right? Track doesn't recruit you as hard just because they know that,
They
football
know they're
has,
probably going to lose out. Yeah.
yeah, they're probably going to lose out. So they passed on. But with some of the schools that were really smart that were recruiting me, they did a great job of giving me the option to interact with track as well as football. I've talked to a lot of different track coaches. as well as when I was getting recruited for football. So it kind of went in tandem. It does get a little interesting because now you're like, dang, do I want to play football? Do I want to run track? Like there's, so many different ways you can go with it. But like I said, I had good people in my corner, Coach Tone and Coach Ginn, as well as my parents and my family did a really good job of, really talking me through it, helping the best they could because they didn't really know a lot about, especially when you're getting recruited at that level. You got so many people
Yeah.
offering you different things like that. It can get overwhelming. And me running track and having so much of I would say, a positive career there, and you get track people looking at you, right? You do have to take a step back and really sit back and figure out what you want to do.
Having lived it yourself, have you had any athletes? Have you helped any athletes kind of navigate those waters yet?
Yep, helped quite a
What
few. Um,
What's that
it's
process been like for you? Seeing the other side. You know what I mean?
it's it's different. It's different because of how much more technology's out there, right? Kids are like
Social
back in
media.
our day,
Yep.
right? Coach Ginn maybe put DVDs together or whatever. Now you literally can just go on Huddle, get your clips, and just send it out and be good. Track
Yep.
maybe not so much, but we do record like races and they can see your time, so you're sending that stuff out. I mean, the biggest thing is just really being like a voice and really listening to them and understanding what's your interest, what do you want to do, right? And being honest with them. I think that's the hardest part is right. I've told athletes it's like, oh, I'm going D1. And I tell them, I was like, I'm not saying you can't go D1, but here's a school right now that's D2 through D3 that has given you a lot of love and opportunity. Take advantage of it. And then if you feel like
Yeah.
after 2 years that you've done it good enough, you got good film at that level, then you can transfer. And helping families, I've helped tons of families with the recruiting process that they didn't even know about it, like the
Yeah.
clearinghouse, the questions to ask, things to look for, and even how to like have conversations with coaches over the phone, because that's hard, right? When you're trying to
Yeah.
have a conversation with somebody and you don't know them, they don't know you, they're trying to get to
Right.
know you, and really letting kids know, like when a coach is reaching out or one that comes to you, take the opportunity to meet with them, even if you don't want to go there, right? Because you may be
Yep.
by you reaching out and you taking advantage and talking to them, that gives us coaches a chance to maybe help somebody else. So now you're paying it forward. So it's a beautiful thing. Um, I think it's a lot different now than when I was there, but some things are still the same. So it's a fun process. I enjoy it. But it's just funny, like when you talk to parents and they're just like, "Yeah, KJ, we just did this and that." I was like, "Yep, yep, you sound like my parents."
And to your same point about meet with every coach, like you don't know, they might go to a different program. They might go to a bigger program, and they invested in you in already, and so they're going to bring you with them. Like I talked to Andrew Endicott, and he was going to go to some Las Vegas school or some Northern California school or something like that, and the special teams coach left, went to Wisconsin, and that's actually how he brought him into Wisconsin as a place kicker. So it's like you never know, right? Like
Hey, you never
it's
know,
basically marketing yourself. But
right?
so back to your recruitment. You say your mom was a big voice in suggesting that you go to Wisconsin. So we all owe her a thank you first off. But what did your recruitment what did your recruitment board look like in terms of who you were deciding between? And did your mom was your mom the biggest soundboard when you're trying to make those difficult decisions at such a young age, or was it your
Um,
coaches?
my mom had a
Maybe a
huge
mixture of
voice in
both.
it. It was a mixture of both. Mom had a huge impact. Recruiting. I was from Ohio, so I mean, let's talk about it, right? I wanted to be a Buckeye. Um, everyone was going to Ohio State, so you're dreaming to be a Buckeye, play for the home state, home school, stuff like that. But when you got to the recruiting piece, right, and you're sitting down with with Coach Tone. You got to go where it best fits for you, where you feel like you can grow the most, you have the best opportunity to be successful. And I'm very blessed. I'm the first person to tell I'm very blessed, right? I had plenty of offers to choose from. And even narrowing it down to 5 schools to visit was really tough. And I took my visits, right? Took my visit to Wisconsin, took my visit to Indiana, Purdue, took my visit over to BC, Boston College, even took my visit to North Carolina. And then I took some unofficials as well. And O State was right there. So, right, I didn't really need to take an official visit there because I was there enough. I knew a
Yeah.
lot about it. I connected with a lot of the coaches during that time. The biggest thing, my mom came back to me and she just said it. She's like, "Who do you want to be?" That's what she asked me. Like, who do you want to be? She said, "I want you to be independent. I want you to get out of your own comfort zone. I want you to go somewhere where like you can't just come home, right? You can't just, jump in the car and drive 2 hours or 3 hours, right?" She's like, "I need you to be somewhere where you can physically sit and really have to grow, really have to learn how to become someone in this world." Um, and then that sparked me. And then my mom was pretty honest. She was like, Coach Mason, who was recruiting me, he came in the house and literally he sold my mother. I'm gonna tell you that. He said, "Hey,
Smart
I ain't
man.
giving him, I ain't giving him nothing. I ain't giving him nothing. He's gonna everything he gets. But I tell you what, the day he stepped on that field, he earned it. It won't be given to him." And that that spoke volume to me. Coach Mason had that Coach Gann type of like a persona, and it had a mix of
Yep.
Coach Anthony Overton. So when you think about that, it was like, all right. But I'm still keeping my options open. I'm still doing different things. But I'll be honest, man. What made me, really, I came to visit Wisconsin over bowl prep. I had a great time. I love the campus, food, fantastic, and I just vibe, right? I didn't know anybody in Wisconsin, right? Davin Jones was and Otis Merrill was coming with me. They had already committed
Hmm.
before I did. I didn't commit until like after the new year. Um,
Okay.
so I didn't commit till like probably like after they either right after their bowl game is probably when I committed. Um, but I had knew before then, like just sitting there talking to my mom and dad, talking to Coach Overton, and I said, "Hey, I want to go to Wisconsin." And I listed over a couple of things. I said, "Wisconsin, either I'm gonna make it or I'm not. Either I'm gonna grow up or I'm not gonna grow up." And I hate to tell you, man, I had a blast. Like Wisconsin was great to me. They also gave me the ability to run track and play football. Right, that was a huge
Yeah.
selling point for me. Um, Coach Nettie Combe got on the phone, and he's like, "Hey, I hear you thinking about coming here." And just for the record, I didn't even know who Coach Nettie Combe was, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he even said, "You probably don't even know who I am." I said, "Absolutely not." He said, "Let's put it this way: I know who you are, and I guarantee you can help contribute to what we're trying to do here on the track and field side." Um, and the rest is history. I think I made one of the best decisions in my life at that time, and it gave me the ability to do something a lot of people can't say is be able to not participate, be a part of a Big Ten championship, not only in football but also in track as well.
Yeah. When you initially got to Wisconsin, or yeah, when you got to Wisconsin, when you got to Madison, the city of Madison, I'm sure was a change of pace, more on the slowdown side compared to what Cleveland was. But was there anything initially on or off the field that was the toughest transition for you?
Man, look, you. I went from people that looked like me to a whole bunch of people that did not. Right? Let's just call it for what it is. I'm sitting there like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is a lot of not people. I'm not like the food's different. I wasn't familiar with it. I didn't know anybody. Right? The football team, they welcomed me with open arms, right? They brought me in. But like that shell shock of being on your own, right? Listen, my dad dropped me off with $500 in a duffel bag. He said, I'll see you in a month." I had to survive and make things work. And I was very blessed that people, took me in. I had somewhere to sleep and all that stuff. But like, you don't realize how like that's shell shocking, right?
Yeah.
And then having to go to class, you're watching film, like you got, the 2 a day thing wasn't that bad. Like you're really lifting weights and you're trying to grind. So like the whole experience, like that, I was sitting there going, man, this is brutal. I'm calling home like, look, y'all. It's like, hey, like I'm like, yo, this is tough. But I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to be a failure or feel like I'm a person that give up. But it is a shell shock, right? I'll never forget the first day of class, man, when 45,000 students are on campus and you walking down the street and you're looking like I don't even see anybody that look like me. Like we get to
Yeah.
class, I'm like, I stick out like a sore thumb before I even put on any football gear. So like you had to adjust
Yeah.
to that piece, right? You're used to one dynamic, now you're to another dynamic. So trying to adjust and really like hone in on like, all right, I got to make the best of this. I remember calling my mom. I was like, hey, mom, look, hey, it's a little different out here. And she's like, is it a little different or is it a lot different? I said, it's a lot different. She said, good. She goes, I'll see you she said, I'll see you in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it was an experience. It was a good experience. It opened me up to more. It opened me up to be able to communicate with others and get away from where I came from, and try to, build myself up.
Yeah. And I'm sure now that you like went through those changes, stuck out those changes, and came out the other side, you're super happy you did. Because like my senior year, obviously I told you I'm from a small town in Wisconsin. So not a ton of diversity there either. But my senior year of college, I went out to a college out in basically Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
And my suite mates were Nigerian and Ghana. They're from Ghana and Nigeria. And thank God they opened their arms. Dude, we used to same thing, just reversed with you. Like they brought me into everything, and those are still some of my dudes to this day. Like,
Oh yeah, I already know.
but
I listen. I already know. Crazy times. Crazy times. I can only
but
imagine.
you kind of talked about it a little bit. But so 90% of at least 90% of the football guys I had on here talk at some point of that first year having a call to your loved ones and a quitting story. Do you have a specific like practice or something that sticks out that you remember, calling home and being like, I don't know if I can do this?
Man, what? Man, the first time freaking Jonathan Casillas and Dre Levy hit me, I was ready to go. I'm like, I was ready to get up out of there. Like, I'm 100. Just so you know, I'm literally like probably like 170 pounds, soaking wet. I got two of the best linebackers in the country on one team, and I get smacked, and I'm like, yeah, this ain't might not be it for me. I got absolute creamed. I was like, yeah, they picked me up, and I was like, y'all could have left me down there. Like this hurt. Um, I call home. I call home. And was like, look, I was like, I don't think I've ever felt so much pain in my life of being hit so hard. And I'm talking to my dad too, and he's my dad, so he's like, yeah, stick it out, like you'll be all right. Mom Dukes don't want to hear. She's like, go and get up out of here. I ain't trying to hear none of that. But yeah, when that first that camp and camp is so long, right? That's 3 weeks. It's like you don't get to see your family. All it is football, football, eat, sleep, repeat for 3 weeks. And that's a grind. Like that's a mental toll on you. And it got me a little bit. But I tell you, once you get past that, you can do anything. Like once I got past that, and I never forget, Coach Bielema was like, "Oh, this is the last day," and we had to get a little free time. Man, listen, I thought, listen, that little 5, 6 hours of free time that we had, I tried to make that thing feel like it was a whole 24-hour party as best as possible. But man, shout out to Wisconsin and the team, man. We all rallied together. Like us being freshmen, it's tough for any freshman, right? That's why you see so many guys no longer waiting until they graduate to come to school. You see a lot more freshmen participating in their first spring ball so they can get acclimated to what it's like to be here, some of those things. I didn't do that. Of course, I was running track still, but I know why kids are doing it today because it is an adjustment. It is, yes. Man, that 3 weeks where I could count 5 or 6 times where I'm like, I'm about to hang it up because it's brutal, especially on that turf.
Well, we'll clip that out and tag those guys in it so they know how much they made you want to quit. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So you had you had a explosive freshman year. Was there anyone tenured in that locker room that really helped you or took you under your wing during that freshman year?
Uh, Man, freshman year was tough. Paul Hubbard, Luke Swan was the starters. I was like third string. Um, Couple guys get hurt. You start making plays in practice. You show them what you can do. Then you get a shot, and then you take advantage of the shot. Um, I, it, it's hard to say, right? Because the two seniors got hurt. That was the receiver group, right? So those are supposed to be your mentors and people you look up to, and then those guys get hurt. You don't see them as much. When I mean you don't see them as much, they're not at practice with you. I would tell you that upperclassmen really helped, like Dre Levy, Jonathan Casillas, um, some of those guys. They help. Older guys help, right? Shane Carter, Aubrey Pleasant, right? Those guys help and really KJ, you got this. Let's ball out. Travis Beckham, like Trav was a huge help. As crazy as Travis is, right? One of my closest friends today. Um, he was a huge spark, man. Like, look, we played Penn State at Penn State. Now remember, this is the first game we're gonna start two true freshmen, and we have the All American tight end coming back with PJ Hill, the great offensive line and the defense. And we go off a pregame. We're getting ready, coming back in. Like the fans are going crazy. I've never been to Happy Valley, so at this time, right? You're trying to get through. You played at home for a little bit, so you get comfortable. We get to Happy Valley. We're going out there. We go in to get ready to come back out, and we come back out. We're standing in the tunnel, ready to go out, and I peek out, and there's nothing but white everywhere. Everywhere, people are screaming at the top of their lungs. And I remember Trav walks over to me and he goes, "Yeah, you ready? We about to go out here and do this thing." And I looked at Trav. I said, "Trav, you see all these white shirts out there? Like, we are not in Wisconsin right now." But he always, we get out there and everything goes. You just get a blinder, like everything sets off. You're in the game. But I mean, Trav was a huge influence. And then as a receiving core, we were so young. We came so close. Like Nick didn't play that year, but he was still close, right? You got Isaac, you got David, right? You got TJ Theus, you got Richard Kirtley, right? At that time, we all had to be tight because like the seniors that we had got hurt, so we had to really bond together and really help each other mold and push each other in practice and really like dive into each other because we were young. Like their receiving group was super young, right? You had two seniors and you had a whole bunch of redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores, and a couple true freshmen. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where as we got older, like Jared Aberdares and those guys, and us being older, we really took it for, like taking those guys on the ring and really showing them like how to do this the right way. And you see what Jared Aberdares did. Had a heck of a college career, had a great pro career too. So it's just awesome to see.
Freshman year, I got to bring it up. You probably hate talking about it, how everybody brings it up, but the hit
Oh
against
yeah.
Michigan State. So first off, it's not even a close comparison. But when I played semi-pro my first year, I played tight end and D end, and I got led over the middle, kind of like that. And I just remember going up to get it and thinking, dude, this is gonna hurt, but you're gonna catch it. This is gonna hurt because I could see the linebacker out of my peripherals. So he hit me so hard, I had the two straps. Helmet flew off, straps were still on. Just obliterated me. So after that, I was like, I'm going to stick to just D end. I'm not playing tight end anymore. I don't want to do that. I don't
Right.
want to run across the middle anymore. So I guess for you, I mean, that was way, what I said, it doesn't even compare. But from that point on, did you ever, fear or doubt running certain routes or going up to get balls? Did that ever
No,
cross your mind?
no, I didn't care. I didn't care. I didn't care because I wasn't doing it just for myself. I had a reason to be out there, a lot of reasons. When you play the game of football, right, you don't play, you know the risks, right? And it just so happens that mine's ended up on YouTube forever, right? But I've never, I won't change one thing that happened about that ever. There's no point, right? I chose to play the game of football. I chose um, to be in that spotlight. That was the profession I chose. So I knew the risk that I were taking. And even today, everyone's like, that would be a penalty, but it wasn't a penalty then. That was the hit that he made. They called it clear. Did it suck for me? Yeah, for a lot of reasons. To be on at that time ESPN top 10 for quite a few weeks in a row for biggest hit. But I wouldn't change anything. People ask about it all the time, right? And it's one of those where you just you talk about it, or people will be like, "Damn, KJ, boy, I said I hit again, boy, you got lit up," you know. And it's one of those things where like you can look at it as a negative, or you can look at it as like, all right, that's that's probably one of the things I'm gonna
I,
be known for, and you just gotta own it.
I don't think it was, social media was as big back then, but you said it was on ESPN, but like, did you have any trolls come out with that clip on social media after that happened? Or it wasn't, social media wasn't
Hey,
really
listen,
that prevalent
I
back
didn't
then?
even know. I didn't even know. Oh, we had what did we have? Remember, we had Facebook. We had Facebook. Facebook was big
Okay. Yeah.
back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
It was everywhere, everywhere.
Facebook and like
Like I mean,
MySpace.
everywhere,
Yeah.
man, everywhere. Like I was getting clips from everywhere, and like different angles of me getting hit. I'm like, y'all, chill. Like it was
Yeah.
everywhere. And it's no different now. Like now, boy, you do anything, and you'll end up on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. So yeah, it
Yeah.
circulated a while. And like I said, you have to block out the noise, just because it does affect you a little bit, right? When we talk about like how social media changes the landscape of athletics and how you can touch them. Facebook was one where you can still message somebody, different things like that. So you had people trolling for a while, especially people back home, trying to be funny, as well as people even reaching out to see if you're okay too, right? So there's a positive to it
Yeah.
as well. So can't just say all negative, but it was definitely was a tough couple weeks.
You said something I thought was really, really smart in the what Fired Coaches podcast about that clip and how it lives on YouTube and how you were going to make it maybe a teaching point for your kids. It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about that you get up, keep moving forward, keep going forward. Um, how do you do that without showing them that clip? You know what I mean? Like, how do you instill that fight
Uh,
and determination in them?
you know what? My kids are 6 and 4. My 3-year-old, my 4-year-old turned 4 yesterday. And you just do it
Okay.
like any other thing, right? You just, being a dad, being a mentor to them, showing them that when you fall down, you can get up. Like they fall down, My 4-year-old fell off his bike. You can get up. You're hurt, but you can get up and keep pushing. And I will show them that clip at some point. Not to, show anything more than like, hey, this is me down and out, but this is me getting up, running off the field. Like you can do anything.
Yeah.
Don't let someone dictate who you can be. And that's just the message I even share with my athletes. That clip has a lot more meaning to it today because of the story you can tell behind it.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's I think has become special, where something that was made to get clicks and get likes, and to broadcast someone of myself getting absolutely knocked out on national television has turned into something that became a positive that I get to say, all right, yes, Ward cleaned me up. But the thing you do see is like he cleaned me up, he knocked me out. But when I got up, I ran off the field. I wanted to show them
Yeah.
that you couldn't break me by how you hit me, and that I'm tougher than what my body frame may portray.
Well, yeah. I mean, even the broadcasters, if you listen to it, were like, I can't believe he's running off the field right now. But not only is it a good lesson, it also shows your kids that you're an absolute badass. You know what I mean?
Right. Hey, listen. Hey, I was trying to get back in the game, and the training staff was like, absolutely not. Have
Yeah.
you not seen what happened to you? Absolutely not. When they said, "Do you know what today is?" and I said something, it's like, "Nope, you're cooked. Don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Don't even think
Well,
about it."
you did end up playing the next week. Uh, do you think that was because you know you had people relying on you, or was it simply you were just too young and you were cleared to play, so you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and play. This is what I'm here to do. I'm going to go out there and play. Or was it something else?
Um, I did want to prove a point that you couldn't hold me down. Um,
Yep.
and I had teammates behind me looking up to me, needing support. You got that brotherhood piece where you want to keep going, keep going. Don't get it twisted. The backstory is in practice, right? We got our red and white jerseys. Now, if you get put in the green jersey, it's called don't touch him, don't hit him, don't do anything. So I spent a lot of weeks in the green jersey just based upon like, I'm playing, right? But if he's gonna get hurt, and that's just my mentality. They prefer me like, let's get hurt, in the game. Not saying they want me to get
Yeah.
hurt, but like let's protect him as best as possible. Looking
Yeah.
back on it, I won't change that either. Everyone's like, "Did you have any after effects?" It's like, yeah, man. Like, I mean, class was rough. School was rough. Brain was just, there was a lot of things that, concussions linger on that you don't know about, even if you are clear, type of thing. So, but I went out there because I wanted to be with my team. I wanted to support them. Um, and at that time, I wanted to contribute the best way possible. So, you get through the concussion protocol. The trainers and the coaching staff had a good plan for myself as far as how practice would go, what I could and couldn't do, to give me some of that relief, so I didn't have a heavy load, so I could have a heavy load when it was time to play on Saturday.
So before we get into some deeper questions here, I have this segment where I ask the guest three guys who they played with. You got to start one, sit one, and redshirt one.
Oh
So
boy.
you played with some greats. You played with Travis Beckham, Nick Toon, and Jared Aberdarius. So you got to start one, sit one, and redshirt one.
Oh my god. Um. So so Travis is on the tight end side. So it's kind of funny because he's not a receiver.
Right.
So it's really easy to um I'm gonna sit Travis because
Okay.
he's a tight end. He's not a receiver.
Sure. Yep. All
Um,
right.
now you put me in a really nice predicament. Um, because both of those guys redshirted.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. Me and Toon play together, so I'm a start Toon because we started together, and I'm redshirting Jerry Albertares because he redshirted.
All right. There we go. Back to some more serious questions. The concussion, the first concussion, you said it was kind of a catalyst in taking school more serious. Was that because it maybe gave you a glimpse of what life would be like if you couldn't be playing sports?
Yes, at that point you realize like you're not invincible. Like at
Yeah.
some point, I tell us at some point your athletic career we're in. No matter where, it doesn't matter. At some point, and I tell people all the time, we talk about is LeBron is in year 23 or 24. At some point, that man will stop playing basketball. And
Yeah.
that's where I realized after that concussion was like, all right, I need to make sure that I got something to fall back on. And that's when school became a little bit more serious for me. And then that helped a lot, right? Because that you get knocked out and really understand like the concussion thing, and like at the blink of an eye, your career can be over, right? You need to what do you have to fall back on, right? Well, I'm getting a free education. Let me take advantage of it. So I started taking advantage of it and really putting in more time and effort into my school, as well as I was putting the same time and effort into my athletic obligations.
So, I mean, since we're talking about it, schooling and kind of how the concussion played into that, you get the second one, your second year against Minnesota. In an interview you did with NBC 15, you talk about how difficult it was going to classes and kind of learning after that for a couple of weeks. Was that a scary feeling, like not being able to really focus in and properly learn for a couple of weeks, especially at a school as academically
Yeah.
demanding as
Yeah.
Wisconsin is?
Yes. Super demanding, super challenging because like sounds and vibrations and lighting, everything played a part. So you're
Yeah.
really trying to focus, and like that focus was just really tough. And it was just hard to really like get into it, like because now you're trying to you had so much going on, right? It wasn't just like I had just school or I just had football. I had both. So you're trying to do both. And it's an overload, right? And my brain wasn't, you can clearly say my brain wasn't at a place where I could really do both. So class was hard. Class was a struggle. Um, but shout out to Miss Denise. You know who you are. Shout out to Bridget. Bridget, you also know who you are. They helped me get through this. Dave Cedar, you guys, they helped me. I had people to help me. But I also spoke up. And I think that's one of the things that's
Yeah.
hard is putting your pride to the side and speaking up and asking for help when you need it. And they helped me. They that 3 or 4 weeks where I was struggling immensely, they helped me. They really put the time to help me to make sure that I had the best opportunity to be successful in the classroom. Um, and I appreciate them for that. I don't think I've ever said it. I get to say it now. They know who they are. I appreciate what they did for me.
So, hypothetical question for you. Had NIL been around after your freshman year with those numbers, you would have gotten paid some big bucks. Do you think you would have even entertained track if they were paying you for football? If you saw, like, even if you saw your production decrease, potentially put yourself in more harm than good at a young age, already having two concussions?
The way NIL is today, and I know what track athletes are making, I still would have tried to do both because
Okay.
at that point, I am a unicorn or a dark horse or whatever you want to call it, where I'm playing at the highest level in two different sports at a Division I university in the Big Ten. There's, I would never give up doing both. I would find a way to continue to do both, if even if it had NIL, because that has different effects, right? On the flip side, right, you're helping the track team be able to recruit better talent. Doesn't matter if it's on the man or women's side. And on the football side, you're still handling your business, right? At the end of the day, it's all about how
Yeah.
you conduct yourself and the wins that you can put up. And when you bring home, you're bringing home W's and Big Ten championships in football, but you're also bringing home medals, and all Big Tens and second team All American honors, right? You're just amplifying your own value. Um, I don't think that's something people could, you don't, when you look at it today, you don't see if you can do that. But if it was me, I would definitely try to find a way to do both. Because you don't, I mean, like you said, my history in both has catapulted to give me so much success. How could you not?
Yeah. So, the dual sport athlete, So I guess what did that conversation look like with both of those coaches? I mean, I assume the track coach was thrilled to have you on, but was like the football coaching staff super on board with it, or what did that conversation look like?
It was a little interesting, especially when you're young. You're a freshman. Like they're like, no way. I ended up missing spring ball just because I had my knee a little bit. So they're like, there's no way you're running track. Absolutely not. And then one day I sat down with Coach B. We looked at my development plan. Talked to our strength and conditioning coach. Looked at my development plan, um, and we put together a great plan. Um, it made me faster. I actually ended up getting stronger, um, and I got faster, and I was able to be able to do both. But mentally, it made me stronger because you had your time management had to be on point. Your film study for football had to be there. Your weightlifting, going to track practice, and they really trusted me. They believed that I could do it all, and they gave me that outlet. Now, don't get me wrong. Football definitely said like, "Hey, look, you got to be here to be able to do this." Um, and Coach Nutty Combs said the same thing. Is like, you got to be here to do this. So I
Yeah.
took it upon myself to ensure that I was handling my business in the correct way, making sure that I was doing things the right way. And like I said, it worked out that, it worked together. I was able to do both.
You find initial success right away, again, when you join the track team on both relays and individual sprints. Um, as your career progressed, you could have just seen that success on the track side and that dopamine effect that probably had on you, and easily just fully transition to track. Did you stick it out with football, even kind of seeing those diminishing minutes and opportunities there? Did you stick that out as a pride thing, a pride and never quit thing, or were you hoping at some point to work your way back into rotation, or was it something else?
You finished what you started. Um, I was still getting great minutes, even as not being a starter. It is one of those things like, man, when you go back to Cleveland, right? So many people quit and give up. Like, who am I? Why would I give up? How am I going to be able to go back to my hood and be able to talk to somebody that's in probably similar situation? They can just be like, "Oh, you gave up." You know, I don't
Yeah.
want that. I don't want that stigma. I didn't want that notion. No matter how hard it was, and going from a starter to being a backup, right? You always look at it and you say, "No, I'm not giving up. Keep fighting. Keep giving in. Keep diving in." And that was the thing. Like I just didn't want to give up, so I just stayed with it.
In track, you were in a little bit of everything, like I mentioned, involving sprints, from short sprints, like the 100, to intermediate, 400, 4x4. Do you have a favorite race to run, and now on the other side of it, favorite race to coach? Because I loved watching the 4x4, just the end of the meet energy. Everyone is around track yelling, nothing like it. But
Let's
I
go.
hated running that race. I hated running that
Let's
race.
go. Let's go. Um, I hated the 100. Let's just call it for what it
Okay.
is. Uh, I love the 400. I love the 200. Um, but my favorite race will always be the 4x4. And here's the reason why. It's the last event of the day. No one cares about
Yep.
anything else you've done the last 4 hours. Only thing they care about is what
Yep.
are you about to do right now? Who are you about to be right now? And even in
Yeah.
high school, I tell our kids right now, right? My 4x4 crew comes up. I said, no one cares what you did 3 hours ago. No one cares that you won this or you lost this. What we care about is what are you going to do right now? Are you about to put on a show or not? The 4x4 is a show.
Yeah.
It is a
Oh, it's
reason why it's the
electric.
last
The
race.
light, the lights are on. Nobody else is doing other events, so everybody's around the track. Like it's awesome. It's an awesome
It,
event.
It
I just am
is,
not a 400 runner.
man. I love it. It is one of the best events ever. It's one of the hardest races ever. But when I tell you the
Yes.
gratification of like, didn't matter if I've heard at state meets of 50, 60,000 people, Big Ten championship of you know 20, 30,000 people, even at nationals for the last race, right? At Eugene when we got to run it, even that was packed full, right? You like that when that gun goes off, all you hear is people screaming from every school, family members, fans, everyone's just going crazy, and that energy is untapped. It is literally one of the biggest drives ever, right? If you are in the 4x4, you deserve to be there, right? The coaches
Yeah.
believe in you, right? You're catapulting to how the next practice may go or the next meet may go, right? Based off what you can do in the 4x4. You can change the landscape of an outcome of a meet in the 4x4. It is one of the dopest races ever. Um, and I was blessed to have the pleasure of being on the 4x4 at Wisconsin at home running for Big Tens.
Yeah.
It's one of the most electric things ever, ever, ever in my career. And even people say, even, that's the last time we ran Big Tens here. What we did that day in 2012 at home when it came down to the 4x4 to beat Nebraska,
Yeah.
legendary. Absolutely legendary. Like top 10 legendary.
Post college, you get into a sales position at Verizon, but after a while, you move out west to try to kind of pursue track and field professionally there. Do you think that was because all you knew of yourself was up to that point was majority as an athlete, and that felt most comfortable to you? Or was it because you maybe didn't feel like you belonged in the profession you were in and wanted to fall back on something that, had been a stabilizer for you in the past in track and field?
I wanted to give myself a chance, see if I can go out here and do this. When you're embedded in like athletics for so long, right? Jumping into the real world is tough. Um, and I wanted to see what I could do, right? I want to see, can I compete on this circuit? Can I compete with some of the best track athletes in the world at that time? And I went out there, did my best, right? It didn't work out the way I wanted to, and realized and figured out like, you know, where do I want to be? Um, and I'm very supportive. Verizon supported me out there. They, supported me coming back, back east. At that time, but it was one of those things like I didn't know who I was, and all I knew was sports. So I was still trying to figure out who could I be.
After that didn't pan out, you move back home. At some point back at home, you tell your parents you got to get out of Ohio again, so you head back to Wisconsin. I'm sure in all of that, in hindsight, had a ton of life lessons. But when you're in it, you can't really find those, right? What do you think those tough times really taught you now that you are through it?
Uh, Man, keep dreaming. Never give up. Keep fighting. There's people around you to help you when you fall down. Um, and I say the biggest lesson I learned is just I never quit. I never gave up. Right. It showed me that
Yeah.
I persevered through everything. Moving back home, coming back to Wisconsin, trying to pick myself back up. Like I fell down, but I always kept getting back up. Right. Just like we talked about earlier, we talked about, me getting knocked out and all that stuff. It's the same thing, right? I kept falling down or kept getting knocked down, but I kept getting up. Like I never gave up. And the lesson there is just like I never gave up. Um, when you look at it in hindsight, back then, you go, dang, damn, KJ, like, damn, you did get knocked down a lot, you know. But I also look at it in a way, right? If I look at it now and go, but those are the lessons I needed. I needed that. It didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
It just turns into stories that you can tell that. So hopefully you help somebody else, right? Not saying that they won't make this. There's going to be athletes or kids that I coach or mentor. They're going to still make some of the same mistakes. The difference now is I have better arsenal to be able to help them, hopefully navigate them through that tough time, be a resource for them. And I think that part is super key. But yeah, I had to get the hell out of Cleveland. Listen, I love Cleveland. I'm gonna put that on the record. Cleveland, you're my home. You've done 18, 19 beautiful years for me, right? And I love Cleveland to death. But I knew I had to get out of there because there was more for me to do. There was other ways for me to grow.
So if we can fast forward a little bit, you get into coaching. I think you said because your wife was also a
Yes.
former athlete, and it sounds,
Yes.
based off the Fired Coaches podcast, she helped you kind of find that avenue. So even though it was a couple years removed, what was the biggest mental shift you had to make going from being the athlete to now being the coach?
Yo, I didn't even want to coach. Look, my wife, we're at St. Mary Springs. Mr. Bob Hyland himself, you know, we're living in Fond du Lac. I'm pretty much I'm not hiding, but I'm not, making myself known to, whatever my wife's teaching. She loves track. She's talking about it. Bob is reaching out. It's like, hey, what brought you here? My husband. Like, who's your husband? She says me. And he's like, oh, I need to meet this guy. Um, and then I meet him. We kind of go from there. But what my wife really told me, and when she was coaching, she says, I coach because I want to make an impact on kids. And you can do the same thing. So we coached together for years. I'm in track, and she got me into football with Bob. And then I had the pleasure, like I'm very blessed. I had the pleasure of winning 3 gold balls with Coach Highland, and won 2 silver balls with Coach Highland. Been able to coach track with my wife, and even her teach me some things that I wouldn't know. But then when you start teaching and coaching kids, you got to realize like you have to be the example. And we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'll never be perfect. But she kind of helped me, catapult to where I am today. And it's something that I'll be the first person to say. I didn't want to coach kids. Not gonna lie to you, but she made me look at it differently. And made it seem in a way where like I could do this. So she brought out something that I didn't even think I had in myself.
So, having competed and now coaching in both football and track, how does your coaching style differ between, football, which is more team-oriented sport, versus track, which is a team sport, but it also has very individualistic aspects of it?
It's the same, right? So football, you may be coaching, for play, or you may be running plays and different things like that, and you may working through drills, but you still work through drills in track. They're still learning, they're still teaching, still development. It's all mentorship. It's how do I want these kids to grow in the next 3 or 4 years? Like how can I mature them and mentor them and develop them so they can go out, be college athletes, grow up to be, whatever they want to set their sights on to be. So it is the same. It's just the structure is different, right? I'm in track season right now, right? I'm not talking to a kid
Yeah.
about, can you run this angle to catch this ball, or can the quarterbacks throw this, can we work on this touch to get it to this certain spot? But I'm talking to my sprinters like, hey, right, we need to have this type of force from the ground. We need to have this type of, form, and we need to have this type of drive. So it's like reality, it's similar, it's just different verbiage in the season that you're in.
Do you ever have to hold yourself back from expecting athletes to approach things, or have the same competitiveness the way that you did when you were playing?
It's a different way to display it. I'm super competitive. Um, and I'm competitive with my athletes, right? But my competitiveness, is in a different form. So it doesn't come back like being arrogant or disrespectful, but it comes back as being a coach and a mentor. Because I do challenge them, right? The world's gonna challenge you. So let's start right now. Um, and
Yeah.
it's weird. So I'm in year 2 at Verona. Okay. I spent
Yep.
a ton of time up in, at Springs, and I spent the year at Fond du Lac. And I'm year 2 here, like I said, at Verona. And that first year, it takes them, the kids are trying to figure you out just like you're trying to figure the kids out. So once they figure you
Hmm.
out and you figure them out, now you're able to develop that relationship with them. And they know I'm competitive, but they also know I'm here to support you and I challenge you. And I challenge a way to make you better, not to bring you down, but to uplift you. But like I said, sometimes that um can be a little heated, as I would say. Listen, there are
Yeah.
times
Right.
where
Right.
there are absolute times. There are times in football last year where like we just wasn't having good days, and like sometimes you got to step out of your comfort zone. And you got to speak up in a manner where KJ is more cool, relaxed, like laid back. I got a little tone in my voice, but I'm pretty much who I am. But then when I do come to that level, right, everyone they respect it and they're like, all right, KJ doesn't get here unless we're not doing what we need to be doing. So that's that comfort and level of the kids getting to know you and me understanding who they are as well.
Is there something you wish your athletes now understood that you didn't fully grasp until you were through college as an athlete?
Uh, Athletic doesn't last forever. And that I said this the other day, actually, was just kind of funny. I said, these 4 years of high school will go fast and it'll be over. And you're going to wish you had these 4 years back. So start taking advantage of the time you have. These are some of the best years of your life. And if you go to college and you do athletic, it's the same thing. Now you got 4 to 5 years in the same atmosphere. So that's what I try to tell them is like, man, this is a time. Like, look, you ain't got no responsibilities. Look, your mom and dad giving you gas money most of the time, right? You're with your homies, you with your lady, right? You having a good time, right? You enjoying life. Like you don't have too many. Look, your responsibility is to wake up, go to class, go to school, go to practice. If you have a job, part
Yeah.
time, go to your job and listen to what your parents are telling you. That's all you got. That's a dream, right? And
Right.
I tell them that all the time.
Right.
I say, I got kids. You got other responsibilities,
Yeah.
and I do think like as the kids continue to get to know me, we get to know like they are starting to enjoy like even at practice today, right? We didn't have a long practice, but I saw the kids when we needed to be serious, they were serious, but they knew when they could just joke around and have fun, right? They're taking advantage of the opportunity to be in this atmosphere.
Yeah. Is there a lesson that you learned from your playing days that you consistently try to pass on as a coach now?
Time doesn't stop for anybody. Um, Take advantage of the time that you have on this world and what you're doing with the people around you and love it and appreciate it. Um, I hate to say it, right? We have the way things are going and how things are transacting, right? You never know, right? So just love life, like love what you're doing, love the people around you, make friends, make lasting memories, like make memories that you could talk about 20 years from now. Um, that is something that I learned, and it's something that I pass on. I was talking to Luz Neglegu the other day, right? And we're just sitting there talking about, hey, we got to get to spring practice, right? And not because more than for just for us to show like support for the young guys that are at UW now and make a memory of it. So just make memories, enjoy it, love it, have fun. At the end of the day, like athletics, you got to have fun with it. There's not a lot of people that have the same opportunity to be in an athletic sport. As many people that's on this world, not a lot of people have that opportunity. So if you do have it, like love it, enjoy it, nurture it, and build those memories, not with just yourself, but build it with your family and friends, so that you can look back, like I said, 10, 15 years along and laugh about some things that you'd be like, I can't believe I did that, but I'm glad I did it type of thing.
Yeah. That is a great way to sum up the coaching section. Secondly, love the Lewis shout out, hometown kid, Platteville. Uh,
Oh yeah, Big Lou. Yeah,
so
Big
we'll
Lou.
get into well, yeah, we'll get into the fatherhood now. So how you said you had two kids, 6 and 4?
Yes, I also have my daughter, um, who's 19.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's the
So
look everyone gives.
have you well? So I thought I had heard that on the podcast you did with your buddy who played at Iowa. I can't think of the name of that now,
Yep,
but
LeBron.
yeah, LeBron, yes. But so your daughter or any of the younger kids, have you coached any of them? Have you started coaching any of them?
I
Are
so
you going to coach
absolutely
any
not.
of them?
Absolutely. So we're gonna answer the first question. Have I coached any of them? Absolutely not. Um, my daughter, she's 19. She's in college. She's playing soccer at Northwestern Ohio, D2 school. She got herself a
Okay.
full ride to do that. She put the hard work and effort. I mean, she does come back to Wisconsin and train. We'll do some training sessions. I'll help her do some stuff. But when it comes to coaching, when we move over to the boys, I'm at a place right now where I want the boys to get coaching from someone else. I want them to enjoy what they're doing. I give direction of what sports I want them to be in. Like I'll say that. But as far as coaching them right now, it is not a thing. And everyone's like, why not? Well, one, when you start doing that, right, you go down a slippery slope, right? When you start, digging into your kids and coaching, like my kids are 4 and 6. Like, no offense,
Yeah.
I don't need my kids to be all Americans at 4 and 6, right? I want my
Right.
kids to be whatever they're gonna be when we get to that age where they're tuned into the sports they really want to do. And even at that point, there's no guarantee that I will coach them. Now, as long as I'm a football coach and a track coach and they want to pursue those athletic events in their careers, then yeah, there'll be a point in time when they get to high school that I will coach them. But as far as like right now, I'm letting those guys be coached by others, and letting them enjoy that. Because when you start coaching your kids, right, you're not just coaching your kids, you're coaching your kids and other kids as well. Right. So I'm really taking advantage of, we talked about memories. I want to just be able to be a sideline dad. Right. Sideline dad.
Yeah.
I'm not a yeller. I'm a watcher. I'm a video recorder. I take pictures, but I'm not like I said, I want to be a sideline dad right now. And I love that.
Have you taken any of the kids to a Wisconsin sporting event?
Funny that you say that one. Yes. So we went, um, they went to a hoop game, but this past year, we took them to the Wisconsin Ohio State game. Um,
Okay.
my wife she's a Ohio State Buckeye. She loves the Buckeyes,
Oh, okay.
but she doesn't love them when it's Wisconsin versus the Buckeyes. It's you love Wisconsin first. So we went to that
All
game. We
right,
took
there
the
we go.
boys. The boys loved it. That was the first time we've actually taken them to like a sporting event like that. We did a little tailgating, so they could see the atmosphere, and my boys just thrived in it. They just enjoyed the time to sit in the stands, um, and just see the game. We were actually looking forward to this upcoming year to get them to more games because they're a little older, um,
Yeah.
and just kind of go from there. I mean, we're even looking, to get a jersey. We want to support, one of the new Badgers. Won't give his number out yet or his name, but sometime in the fall they'll have jerseys, to kind of support him. NIL is crazy; they get money for everything.
Yeah. Um, I always ask that question because I'm always so curious. Having been on the field, athletes returning with their kids, like how cool is that moment as a former athlete now being a father and seeing your kids like see that for the first time?
Hey, it's super cool. Even a cooler moment is watching your kids like find something that they love. Like my oldest right now is huge into like soccer and football, flag football, right? So just watching him like take the time to do like little drills out in the yard or just want to play catch is just dope. And then the youngest one just follows, right? It's one of those things like whatever my big bro do, I want to do, right? So you just see them like follow each other.
Yeah.
It's cool to watch that type of atmosphere and watch them grow in that aspect. But it's also cool because they still think I'm cool. So they want to do those things, right? There's going to be a
Yeah.
point in time like they ain't going to want to do none of it. So you take advantage of it. But
Right.
having them come to the game is crazy. It's super exciting. Um, and I got pictures of us just holding hands walking down the street, right? Or Nathaniel doing
Yeah.
a cool little jump or something like that. So yeah, it's live. And from the fatherhood standpoint, it's live.
It. Yeah. Um, obviously you said your daughter plays soccer, so I think she probably has the competitiveness from both you and your wife. But the younger kids, do you ever see that competitiveness come through in them? And do you view that as a good thing at that age or a bad thing?
Uh, both of the boys are super competitive. Um, I don't see it as a negative at all. But we're teaching. It's a learning process, right? We're teaching, you know, how to use it, when to use it, right? Um, I can tell you right now, when Nathaniel steps between those white lines, like he's all business. Like he is out to, I hate
He's
using the
locked
word
in.
kill. He's locked in. And my 4-year-old who hasn't, been able to cross those lines yet. But I tell you what, any chance he get to get across those lines, he's taking full advantage of it. They're both they're kids. They're still young. Man, yeah, he doesn't shy away from anybody, right? He'll play with anybody, big or small. So I love it. It's one thing that we do watch a little bit just because of the athletic, ability that they potentially could have. We don't want them to feel like they can't, express themselves in that manner. So we have 3 rules in our house when it comes to athletic at this age. Good effort, good attitude, good sport. You're 6 and 4.
Man, you got all you athletes have these really good catchphrases, and I'm just gonna steal all of them.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. No, you gotta do
Do
it.
you ever, since we're talking about the phrases, do you ever catch yourself using the same phrases or mindset at home that you learned during your time at Wisconsin that maybe a coach kept drilling with you?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Chris, um, super laid back personality. He'd always talk about like opportunities. There's opportunity. There's opportunity. You've heard me say opportunity quite a few times here on the cast. He always talked about opportunities. Coach Mason, talking to Coach Mason, he always talked about development. You always got to develop. You always got to be developing. At that time, I'm thinking about you. I got to develop my art, my route tree, my footwork, all that stuff. But now you look at you talk about developing as a life. He talked about that.
Yeah,
Um, and then Coach Nuttycombe, Coach Guthrie from a track side, effort. Always talked about effort. Coach Nuttycombe was coaching decathletes. Coach Guthrie was coaching long and short sprinters. They're always talking about effort. Effort. You got to put up effort. This 600 you're about to run is going to be gutsy, but if you get up the effort, you're going to hit the time, right? So you take those things and you utilize them in life. You try to change the words a little bit, and you change it to make it fit for like your kids or the athletes, and they'll stay with me forever because those are life traits, not just athletic
yeah.
traits. There's things that you can take for you in life.
If your two boys grow up and want to follow in your footsteps as an athlete, what is the biggest piece of advice you'd give them based on everything you've experienced?
Enjoy it, have fun, These will be the best, whatever. I'm just gonna say if 4 to 8 years. Well, now the way these cats are playing in college, I'm gonna say 4 to 9 years of your life. And then after that, whatever happens after that, it happens. I'm just saying, like, people, I mean, I got cats going to course to get another year of eligibility and they're getting them, right? And they're playing like year 6 or 7. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on? But yeah, I would just say that it's weird. It ends at some point. So you really want to tell them enjoy it. Enjoy that time. Let's have fun, right? Just because you're getting coached hard doesn't mean they don't like you. You're getting coached hard because they see the potential in you. That's why they invested in you. So that's
Yeah.
what I would tell them.
It kind of leads into my final two questions. I always ask the same final two questions. So if your boys grow up and once they're older and somehow come across this interview, what is one thing that you hope they take away from it?
Um, just take away some of the life lessons that I learned. And I want them to realize that I love them to death. I love all my kids. Um, doing this podcast just give me an opportunity to, display some of my thoughts and some of my experience with the world, and hopefully touch somebody. So I hope if they, internet is getting faster. So if they were to look at this 10 years from now, right, I hope they would see that, my dad accomplished a lot of things in his athletic career, but he also has accomplished a lot of things in his professional career and how he's developing, younger generations to be successful.
Yeah. And then finally, how do you think the Badgers are going to do this year in football?
So look, I'm excited for my boys. Um, I'm excited for Coach Fickle. I'm excited for Coach Haynes, Coach Worley. I'm excited for that whole staff, Coach Trussell. Most of those guys are from Ohio, right? I'm an Ohio guy. You know,
Yeah.
and I trusted them. I believe in them. I think that Wisconsin finally invested what needed to be invested to get players that help us be successful. And our schedule is in a favor to go out and prove who we really are. And everyone says you got to play your schedule, doesn't matter. But I was like, you got to realize, like, the last 3 years of schedule's been rough. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. Even my senior year, I was like, when we had to play Michigan, Michigan State, O State, Iowa, and all those guys, that was a tough schedule too. But I'm really excited for the boys. I'm really excited for Coach Fickle and the coaching staff. Um, being from Ohio, those guys are from Ohio. They got a lot to prove, and they want to prove it. I'm really happy about some of the transfers as well as the incoming class that's coming in for 2026. But the thing that you don't realize what I'm more excited about is look at the class for 2027 so far, and look at the guys that we got. Um, I know Coach Fickle is going to do wonderful things. I know that coaching staff is going to do wonderful things. Um, and I'm just excited. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to continue to support them. I tell everyone this, like, you guys don't remember, right, when Coach Alvarez here, it wasn't like Coach Alvarez knocked it out of the park when he first got here. He stumbled, but then when he got that consistency, he was on a roll. And Coach Bielema took that and continued to roll on with it. And then we had Coach Anderson, and we had some down years, and then we flipped the script and got Coach Chris. And then we kind of pushed in a direction that was positive, right? With NIL, things are so different. There's a different playing field. So I'm usually excited on Wisconsin. Go Badgers. I do got to put this out here, BC. Mr. Brian Calhoun. I get the pleasure of seeing you in the fall, as Oak Creek will be traveling to play Verona in the fall. So I look forward to that matchup. And I'm excited to, bless the field with one of my former Badger brothers that are a little bit older than me. So, yeah, let's make it happen.
Had to take that shot that he's a little older than you.
Hey, listen, he is. Listen, he's going to listen to this. He's going to be like, all right, KJ, that's what we are. Yeah. But no, he's awesome. He's one of those guys you're talking about, like, longevity and connecting. He's never shied away about reaching out and being a resource for any of us younger Badgers.
All right. That's going to wrap it up here. Thanks again to Kyle Jefferson, a guy who's proven that success isn't about staying in one lane, pun intended. It's about adapting, competing, and continuing to grow. Make sure to follow, comment, like, and subscribe wherever you're watching and listening, and let us know who you want to see on here next. As always, on Wisconsin. Thanks, Kyle.
Yep, on Wisconsin. Thank you.